We're having so much fun. I'm having such a blast on this channel. Today, I was talking to my powerful producer, Christian Harloff. If my eye's tearing, I just plucked a nose hair, and it was brutal. And it was like I was crying. I was talking to my producer. We've been doing movie reactions, and I've been enjoying the hell out of that. So, we said, why not watch fights? Do some, go over some fights. Not only my fights, but other fights. And comment on it. A little behind the scenes as far as if it's with me or one of my guys. Or just, the technical stuff in a fight. And I was thinking, what better way to start this off than to go over both the good and the bad and the ugly. My first fight with George St. Pierre, winning the title, and just to show that I'm not a braggart, the second fight when I got my ass whooped in Montreal. Man, I'm showing it all. If I should just show the fights I win. No, I'm kidding. We're going to go over the gap in between the first fight and the second fight. And I think it's going to be fun. Memory lane. Let's go. I'm going to start this right now. I'm going to talk during it, but I'll talk a lot after the fight, more in the detail. I think that's the best way to do it than just keep pausing it, and that could be annoying. Okay? All right, UFC 69, myself versus the great George St. Pierre for the welterweight title. Oh, wait, I'm pressing this. Let's go. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. I'm pressing this. What the fuck am I pressing? Where's the mousey? I can't find the... Why is the mouse over there? Oh, there it is. Okay. Starting it is. I'm not the best with the tech. Okay, with a computer.
George Rush St. Pierre, Matt Serra.
To close the distance, I would do a lot of double and triple jabs and come in behind the jab to close that distance.
Careful of the kicks, the explosiveness.
I felt very comfortable here. I got a lot of sparring in for this fight.
From Matt, again, I hear George has 6 inches of reach. He's a very dynamic.
And so far, I got touched a little bit, and I just felt like I felt like I was in the zone, like I was seeing everything. The distance is good.
And be willing to perhaps.
And now I start to go to the body. Longo would tell me a lot leading up to this, to work the body, and then work my way to the head.
If he doesn't get past that range.
Well, an documented striker, if you will.
All right, the feints, and then I come in with a body shot.
Matt now, he seems to be changing levels.
I'm seeing his kicks, and I'm, if anything, if not blocking, I'm just getting out of the way, slightly out of the way.
Sarah's prepared, Sarah's determined, and man, all he was doing.
Nice tie kick. No, this felt like a very good day of sparring so far. That's what it felt like.
Pete Sell in his fight saying, look, the head moves.
You notice I'm doing a lot of feints. There's going to the body. A lot of feints, a lot of subtle feints. Here's a Superman punch. I was happy about the Superman punch.
In the exchanges here, doesn't seem nervous at all.
Give a little smile there.
What was interesting in breaking down this fight is Matt Serra, guys.
See, right there, I saw that kick, I catch, I come back with a punch. Ray Longo had all the neighborhood kids, all the guys, all the fighters locally just throwing the same stuff that George would throw during his previous fights. So it was really wild. And you got to also take into consideration, he wasn't expecting me to stand with him. So right now, I think he's just waiting for me to shoot still. He's kind of surprised that I'm standing with him. And there was the shot. Now, George he doesn't have his legs underneath him. And he's still trying to get a hold of me. And this shot was well placed. I'm taking the time to line up the shots, even if it's a half a second. And I never let George get his legs underneath him. That's wild, yeah. To tell you the honest truth, as this was going on, I was in the moment, literally in the moment. Right here, this is orgasmic. This is when you watch the end of the Rocky movie and Rocky wins and you're fucking clapping.
Comfortable, confident, composed. He wasn't rushed. He didn't look.
Stitch Duran.
George went down the first time. Was that a slip or had he been clipped?
No, he got hit. Matt Serra's got heavy hands.
Thank you, Joe.
Let's see how it all started.
Yeah.
has shocked the world.
Shocked the world. Yeah, this is great.
This sport is so crazy.
It's a crazy sport, Joe. The great Ray Longo. The fact that I'm older than Ray Longo now than he was right there depresses me. That was nice.
It looked like that was a little bit more off balance.
See, now he's kind of on. Look at this shot right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. To George's credit, he's got a hell of a chin on him. He's trying to get a hold of me. But when I do make some distance, look, I set up, I take the time to line up the shots. That guy, Phil Nurse, the bald black guy in that corner, fuck that guy. I was friends with that guy before this. The first time he ever works George's corner is when he has to fight me, and he didn't want me to take it personal. Fuck that guy.
Declaring the winner by TKO, the new UFC welterweight champion,
Well, that doesn't suck.
the Terror Serra.
Ah, shit. Oh, got goosebumps. Don't you? Shit. All right, let's talk about it. The lead up. How I got a shot for the title was, I was fighting in the UFC. I started at welterweight, and I lost to Shoney Carter, and then I fought Eve Edwards. When I fought Eve Edwards, we both came in at like 165, 164. We were like light for some reason. I don't know why. I was just light. So they're like, yo, we're doing the lightweight. I beat Eve Edwards. And then they go, look, we're doing the lightweight division, 155. And it was hard for me to get there, but that was my division. I'm 5'6". You know what I mean? I fought Kelly Delonte, who I triangle choked. And then I lost to BJ Penn and Dean Thomas in close fights, in fights that could have went the other way. And then I beat Jeff Curran and then Ivan Medjevar, both at lightweight. And then they asked me to go up to fight Carol Parisian at welterweight. Now, back in the day, before this really blew up, we're thinking this whole thing could end at any moment. And I thought the Carol fight would be a great fight because he was a good judo player, and I thought that'd be an entertaining fight. So I took that fight. I lost that fight. By losing that fight, it set me up to go into the Ultimate Fighter, which was wild because the Ultimate Fighter is originally just the whole concept is to get into the UFC. I was already in the UFC, but season 4 of the Ultimate Fighter was called The Comeback. And The Comeback was the whole premise was it's one last shot for glory. The guys that were in the UFC and for whatever reason didn't make it to a title, that type of thing. That was the whole premise. And so, I went in at welterweight because that was the division. And I can compete at welterweight. I know I can compete at welterweight. I was kind of a tweener, you know what I mean? But I'm not the biggest, I'm one of the smallest welterweights because I can also fight at lightweight. But this was an opportunity. I seen what this Ultimate Fighter show does for fighters as far as their popularity, okay? So, I knew even if I didn't win this show, people would get to know me a little bit. It might bring me more students. It's a good thing, Win-win. Because I never have boring fights anyway. So I knew by going into that house that it was an opportunity, a huge opportunity, But I didn't put too much pressure on myself. I just said, I'm going to take it a fight at a time, and look at it like a gladiator training camp because I know we're there to train. And it was cool. My buddy Pete Dragosel was also in the house at middleweight, and he should have been fighting welterweight. So it's funny. But all right, so I was in the house, the Ultimate Fighter. It went great. It went fantastic. I won the show, and it's an 8-man tournament. So I avenged my first loss with Shoney after eating another back fist. I beat Pete Spratt, and then I won the decision against my buddy Chris Lytle in the finals. And there I am set up. The show is a success because, hey, now, well, not yet. The show will be a success when I win the title. But it set me up for a shot at the title. And you got to understand, this was 18 years ago. People still talk about this fucking fight. And the only reason they still talk about this fight is because of how great George St. Pierre is. That's why, I mean, I'm forever linked to him because I'm his last loss. He's never fighting again. He only lost twice, to myself and Matt Hughes. And, you know, I'm super happy for George because George is going to go down as one of the all-time greats, you know. And on this night, you know, I bested him. Don't worry. He gets his revenge, you GSP fans. But on that night, UFC 69 in Houston, Texas, that was my night. And that was I always say, if I had a movie in my life, that's where it ends. And in the credits, they talk about me getting beat up in Montreal, and they'll throw in me knocking down Frank Trigg and throwing Matt Hughes. But no, maybe they won't. But it's my movie, they will. But that's where mine would end. I was never meant, or I never felt, even when I beat George, okay, now it's time for my title reign. Maybe I should have felt like that. But you can't help the way you feel. I just felt that it was just a matter of time that I'm holding on to this thing. And it wasn't a lack of confidence. Like, I didn't feel there was a bunch of welterweights that'll beat the shit out of me. But realistically, I'm a decision away of losing that belt because there's going to be bigger wrestlers than me. And even if I could defend myself off the back, jiu-jitsu's like chess. And it's like speed chess in there. You got to defend yourself all the time looking at the clock. You're losing to the clock if you're on bottom. You know, kind of like how I lost the decision to Matt Hughes. I spent more time on bottom, you know. And I felt I won that one, but that's not the point. The point is, if you spend a lot of time on bottom, you're going to lose. There's a lot of bigger guys than me in welterweight. So it wasn't like, all right, I got the belt. Now it's my time to shine. I didn't feel that way. And I'm being totally honest. I was meant to be the underdog. That was my shining moment, UFC 69. And, you know, before I get into the next one, what else can I say about that? Oh, well, let's talk about right after I beat George. Now, it's crazy. I beat George April 7th, 2007. May 2007, the next month, May 25th, I was getting married, you know? So, whirlwind of a year. So they get in touch with me and they're like, yo, Dana goes, look, we want you to coach the Ultimate Fighter versus Matt Hughes. Because they know from my season on Ultimate Fighter that I don't like Matt Hughes. We had some, I spoke about him. I didn't like the way he was treating people. And we had our issues. So they thought that'd be a great first title defense because Matt was a reigning champion and a dominant champion for so long until George bested him. Him and George were one-on-one. And, you know, he would be the first title defense would be Matt Hughes. So I got married, which, man, Godfather wedding. It was fucking 300 people. Chateaubriand, that's now closed here in Long Island. And we had a blast. We had a fucking blast. I was the champ. Got married, didn't have a scratch on me. I was ready to go to that, getting married all busted up, but no, I was good. And what a night. Oh, what a night. It was fucking great. So after that, they go, look, we want you to coach versus Matt Hughes on The Ultimate Fighter. And I was set to go to Aruba, man. So I'm going to Aruba with my wife. They go, all right, when's your honeymoon over? All right. So I get married May 25th, go to Aruba with my wife. And what's funny about that is, while I'm at Aruba with my wife, supposed to be a nice little honeymoon. It's our honeymoon. Beautiful time, just me and her. A bunch of riffraff. I got Drago, my Jedi Abe. They happen to be going to some kind of, what kind of party was that? They might have they went to some kind of destination something where all I know is all my boys were there. They weren't planning to be there, but all the guys from the barbershop, Abe and the crew, and they're there on my honeymoon. So that was kind of funny. So we went, we hung out with them some. I had a good time in Aruba. I'll tell you what I'll never do again is that fucking, when you're on the boat, me and my wife, We put on the harness, and I'm thinking it has to be safe. You're on a parachute, and you know when it's not parasailing, but when the boat takes you up in the parachute, and then you drop into the water. I thought that might be nice and romantic for me and my wife, and Abe and Drago and them on the boat with us. We go up, something happens to the boat. Now you're thinking we go nice and gently. We plummeted. It might as well not have been a shoot. We plummeted, hit hard. And it's dragging us. We're going under the water. And then they start pulling us in, these guys, like we're fucking dead fish or something. Abe and Drago almost grabbed these guys on the boat and threw them off the boat. They go, who are you yanking in? That was a horror show. But anyway, I'll never do that shit again. Now people wonder why I don't like the water. So I get back from Aruba literally the next day. I go to Vegas, 6 weeks. I'm shooting versus Matt Hughes, The Ultimate Fighter 6, season 6, Serra versus Hughes. Man, great time on the show. Made some new friends, hung out with Longo and Drago. My wife came out there in Vegas with me. And that was a wild time. So now I'm getting geared up to fight Matt Hughes, which was something I'm looking forward to. Now, at the time, I'm 33 or 34. I'm 30. Well, I was 33. It was like a year goes by, and we're getting set to fight. Now, I'm in camp. Because you know what? You have to film the show, then they have to show the show, and then we're getting ready to fight. I'm still training like a young man. I'm having guys. I had the late, great Craig Porte, one of my black belts that passed away a couple years ago. I would start off in a crucifix on cross-eyed with him. Have to get out, roll 5 minutes, do 20 to 30 duck under suplexes with him, then start in the crucifix again. It was very hard training, and it was good. It was smart positionally for what I was getting ready for with Matt Hughes, where he'd be most dangerous. Excuse me. But I blew my fucking back out. Matt Arroyo, who was a contestant, one of the competitors, he was getting ready for the Tough 6 finale. He was one of my fighters on Tough 6. He asked me to show something from Mount. I went to show him something. I blew out L4, L5. I never had any. Now, look, there's injuries. I got a new knee now, a knee replacement, and I fought with a torn bicep. There's things getting ready. I fought guys with torn meniscus. There's fights you can get through and get to not being totally in one piece. Man, I couldn't walk. I couldn't fucking walk. So, the one time in my whole UFC career, and mind you, see that bicep? Notice there's not one there. Where is it, the baby? Yeah, I tore that before my third fight, still fought. I'm no mangina. I will fight there. I will show up to fight. I couldn't walk, so, I felt horrible having to pull out of my fight with Matt Hughes because I was calling the guy a dick for fucking 2 years. You know what I mean? I don't mind doing it because I knew I would face him. I knew I would be there to answer for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I said it. What are you going to do about it? But now I'm pulling out of the fight, dude. I literally was crying. I literally had tears. My wife could back me up on that. It's sad. I was fucking devastated, because, I talked some shit. It's okay. We hashed it out. We got in there. But I had to pull out. So Matt Hughes ended up fighting George St. Pierre on the New Year's Eve card, right? So George smashes Matt Hughes. So now I got to fight George again, which is fine. I'd rather fight Matt Hughes for personal reasons at the time. But now I'm fighting George again in the rematch. The rematch is in April. It's January. Okay. I got how many months there to get ready? And, I got in shape. I got in shape for the fight. I will never take a fight where and there's never any excuses, but I'll be totally honest with the whole lead up. There's things I worked around, and I'll point it out in the fight. Like like normally, well, I mean, I'll watch the fight first and I'll point out what I'm talking about as far as with certain techniques and how I would go to use them in a fight, or my approach to using them in a fight. So some things in this fight camp I had to work around. And there's moves I do on bottom in my guard that I use, like my ashi sweep and my certain sweeps, omoplata attacks. There's certain things that I know will hold water and I know will serve me in a fight because I use it daily, day in, day out in training, and I use it on guys that are not letting me get it. That's how you know what will work in a fight. That's what I tell my guys. You think this will work in a fight? Well, I'm like, are you getting it here? Are you getting it in class and you're doing it while you're getting to it? You're managing your distance. You're not getting smashed. That's if you could pull it off in class, and these guys aren't letting you. You could pull it off in a fight. You know what I mean? So I was trying things in my second fight with George that were I did not execute as much. I'll point that out after because now I gotta watch. I'll tell you right now. The first fight I watched a million times. The second fight, handful of times. In this fight, there's highs and there's lows. That fight we just watched, me getting the title is, like I said, you're mingling in the cosmos. There's no greater feeling than that. What we're about to watch now, there's no worse feeling than getting your ass kicked in front of everybody you know and love, and the world sees it. But, hey, man, we got to take the good with the bad. I'm here not just to be a braggart. I want people to see the highs and the lows in the sport and how it feels to go through it. So let's fucking go right now. Here we go. Let's start the second fight. Myself with George St. Pierre. The first time ever in Canada, in Montreal. Deafening crowd. Let's relive this.
Serra against St. Pierre.
Start with the double jab, but he went right for the takedown. Now watch this. I'm planning to elbow him. When I elbowed him in the head, I bruised right there. I severely bruised my ulnar nerve with that first elbow. Look at my left hand. No, my right hand. I feel like I cannot feel it. So it's fucking crazy. George is doing a great job of staying past the knee line. Now, one of the techniques I was talking about was what the 10th Planet guys call the electric chair. Other guys call the scorpion lockdown. See how I got that leg locked? I'm doing a good job of looking to reclaim guard, but there's a certain sweep I'm going to be trying that I wasn't great at. But because of me getting through a camp the way I was, look, see, I'm looking for it. It's not awful, but it's not my thing. But it did help me get back to guard. Right now, I can't feel my hand right here because I bruised that ulnar nerve. So it was a weird feeling. St. Pierre's doing a great job of not letting me reclaim guard. But so far, nothing hurting me. Nothing of any consequence.
I thought George St. Pierre thought he would be the
I'm keeping the lockdown on. Now I'm doing a good job. I'm reclaiming guard. Looking to elbow.
Serra trying to throw some elbow.
He's doing a really good job of the forward pressure. Great job. Listen, he's trained at Hensel Gracie Academy. He knows how to do jiu-jitsu. Blocking the elbows so far. So far, not bad, but it's deafening in there. Hard to get angles on him.
George St. Pierre's hands.
Big ones there.
Couple of punches, but nothing crazy.
For a moment and boom, boom.
So far, not bad. But my right arm is severely compromised, where it's like, it just feels like you have a dead hand.
Scary thought, seeing what he was doing to the welterweight division before
Again,
that.
I'm doing a good job of getting the underhook. I have such a, what's fucked up? I have such a money half guard escape now that I didn't have then. And it's so fucking good that I feel I would have been out a half an hour ago. Oh, God, I wish I had that in the arsenal.
For 5.
But I didn't. So I have it now.
The pace, he's getting a little busier.
He's doing a very good job of always at least gaining some real estate. I can't say enough of that. And
in the half guard of Matt Serra
now he's passing my fucking guard. Good for him.
He has passed.
Now, right now, my left arm, this is not bad.
Bad for Matt Serra.
It sucks, but it's not bad in the sense I'll reclaim guard here. He's doing a good job. Look how he puts his leg over so I can't roll into a knee bar with his left leg.
Dominant position here.
Very good, George.
St. Pierre has to be careful with the knee bar.
I'm still not doing a bad job of reclaiming guard.
St. Pierre.
Not good, but not awful, because if I had less down there, I would have been done already.
Matt Serra trying to escape. It's gonna spend a lot of energy.
See, that is the thing. I did, unfortunately, in this one, the endurance is the problem. Because technically not awful. I'm surviving this.
He's chipping away at Matt Serra.
All right, we got away, but in now look, I'm going to take a shot at a little jab. But look, man, look at my love handles. This was not the camp that I had for the first one. I'm looking to start at the body, but god damn, I don't feel good here. I look at my body, man. I don't look good.
This is exactly what I was
And I deserve to take this beating.
Jiu-jitsu, knees,
But
and he's doing it.
I still have my jiu-jitsu that's not going to get me totally worked over. You got to know when you can't stop, see?
Great first round turned in.
Great job by George. My body looks soft compared to the first fight. I just know the camp was not the same camp. Now, does that mean I would be beating his ass right now if I had a better camp? No. I'm going to tell you my total honest thoughts about everything afterwards because I don't want to keep blabbering over it.
Is the passing skill
Beautiful.
of George St. Pierre.
Beautiful by
This
George.
is exactly what George St. Pierre should have done.
Now, look, I'm not out of it yet. I remember here, I'm going to try to stay relaxed, and I'm going to try to set up a high kick. Like, I'm going to take a shot. I want to kick low and then kick high, but the motherfucker, he has his game plan down.
By Matt Serra, it was timed perfectly by George St. Pierre. Matt Serra has an underhook with his left arm.
I'll tell you, George is fighting beautifully because he has his game plan, just like I had in my first one.
You know, it's interesting, while St. Pierre is known so much for his great striking skills.
His job is to keep... See, my legs, when they're in between, that's trouble, and he knows that. So he's always looking to pass a knee line. I got to try to not take damage and try to get my back to the cage and get my left underhook, which I did. Fight IQ, I'm not doing bad shit, to be honest. But I'm already getting weathered. That's the problem. The endurance is a problem here.
Frank Trigg.
You know? But good, underhook, and I got decent base.
Sarah down again.
What
Not bad. Not bad, man. Again,
talks about St. Pierre's
Superman
athleticism. How about
punch.
that?
But look, but the problem is now in hindsight, I'm so tired. I'm more tired than I look right here. Look at my fucking belly and love handles. I should be. See, there's that little kick, but I'm slow. I am slow.
Those hands, but that's kind of the way he approaches things.
See, even that, look at me coming back. It's
This is where Matt Serra is dangerous. Inside with those short punches.
Couple of good.
See, sometimes I'll let it. Now, this is what I was doing here. I know he's jabbing me in the face. I'll do this, and then I'll look to come back with a right hand. And look, see the right hand? And the right hand was slow, and he took me down. I didn't have to eat all those, but sometimes it helps you draw them in to try to hurt you, and you hurt them.
It's confusing Matt Serra. and
My
it's
left
tiring
hand,
him
that's
out.
not bad.
George St.
It's not
Pierre's
bad to get
really
up.
I think he believes he has the better cardio.
I know all the right things to do. It's not awful on the floor. I'm getting dominated, but I'm not getting destroyed. But the conditioning is the fucking problem.
Is a category generally the St. Pierre win.
But to his credit, he's making me work the whole time. You know, feeding the hips, it's not bad. Yeah, there you go. I'm starting to learn that he's getting that half guard every time. But look at the minute, not managing the distance right now. Well, not bad. I have his head. But he gets, where it goes south is I get a forearm to my eye socket that fucked up my orbital or some shit. You'll see it. And then I go to all fours, and that's where it fucks me up.
Here he is once again. George St. Pierre on top, kind of chipping away, getting Matt Serra to spend the energy.
Fuck you, Sarah. Do you hear it? Oh, I heard it.
Working himself and gassing himself out.
So look, the recovery's not bad, but god damn it. Was it that one? No, there was one that gets me pretty good. And when it does, it fucks me up some.
Let's see if he can get them here.
And that left hand should not be holding. Problem is, I'm getting weathered.
Matt Serra has to come up with an answer for that pass and for those takedowns of George St. Pierre.
Believe it or not, I know people are going to be like bullshit, but the knees don't, even when it ends, the knees don't bother me. I reclaim. Now look, I take an elbow to the fucking face. When I took I took an elbow to the fucking face, so I'm a little fucked up. And I'm tired. I'm tired. I should have gotten up, but I was fucking exhausted. Good job, George. And it sucks. Guys, it does blow. I ain't going to sugarcoat it. And he never lost since, unless you count Captain America and Winter Soldier. But that was Barak, the fucking Savat fighter. He was playing a role. You watched my speech. You got to watch his. We got to see this thing through. George is such a sweet guy.
And in all likelihood, they will meet again.
Oh, that's
Sarah
nice.
Congratulating
I was was going to throw him. No, I was going to like, he's sweet. I can't, how could you not be happy for George? Now I don't feel so bad. Look at my body. Get a shirt on. But watch, maybe you'll see it. That was the one. Yeah. So I was hurt, but I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I was fucking exhausted where I shouldn't have been. Let's let George get his flowers. See, right here, I'm thinking I should fucking get up is what I should get up, but good job, George St. Pierre. Let's listen to this, because I haven't heard either of these post-fight speeches afterwards anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Yves Levine has called a stop to this contest at 4 minutes.
Yeah, fuck it. I look soft. My body looks soft. Look at those love handles. I didn't like it. Yeah, George, good for you, though. Good for you. Oh, I thought we were going to hear that shit. Why'd I watch me with my black eye then? Let's discuss it, man. Let's discuss. I'll tell you, there was things I liked in it, technically. This is how I honestly feel. I feel if I was the best, if I had the best camp like I did for the first camp, you could see how my body wasn't the same. It was softer. Now, look, when you take the fight, you take the fight, you know. January 1st, I'm fucking hardly walking. I have to go through a camp to get, now look, no excuses, because let me finish this, but I got to just be totally honest with it, because this is how it is. I'm fighting him in April. So I go through a camp, and I get there. Now, man, I fucking tried. I tried to fucking win. You're as confident, your training gives you the confidence. Now, I got in shape, I felt, but I was in no near as good a shape as I should have been. Just by watching it, I seen my body. Another thing, because of my previous, injury with the Matt Hughes thing, I felt different things I did on floor, which it wasn't awful, because I did use the lockdown, scorpion lock, whatever you want to call it. People call it different shit. Even though the electric chair wasn't working for me, I was using it to reclaim guard, but I just took an elbow into the face. But I felt like, I don't know, I felt I could have been in way better shape, and that could have helped me get back to the feet differently. I'm watching it now, again, 18 years ago. I've got so many different things in the arsenal I could have used in there, which is good for my students, which is great. You got to understand, like Henzo said, we're the test pilots. When we're in there, when things don't go right, why didn't they go right? And we learn from it. Like Henzo with his arm getting broken by the Kimura, with trying to get out of the Kimura with Sakuraba. Since then, Henzo came up with an escape by controlling the other arm, and I taught it last week, and we're still doing it to this day. And that fight was fucking 25 years ago. So my point is, you learn, it's fucking cliche, but you learn so much from your mistakes. So now, having said that, I feel that I wasn't the best I could have been in that rematch, because I felt my camp was subpar. Sorry. I feel that George would have beat me anyway. I feel George is that good. But I feel, you know what it would have resembled? I feel it would have resembled more of his fight with Nick Diaz, where he would have just, because I was doing a lot of the right things to get to my feet. I got into my feet. I wasn't taking much damage. It was only pretty much one shot that did anything, that fucked me up. But it was the endurance, the fucking up and down, the endurance, where I shouldn't have been feeling like that in the second round. But to George's credit, he kept the pace on. He had a brilliant plan of just saying, all right, where, just like I was taking my chances standing up, he'll take his chances with me on the floor, and he did. And it was beautiful. George fought a great fight. I feel once, technically, obviously, in hindsight, there's tons of things, like I'm saying, certain things in my half guard where I feel I could have utilized. But it would have still came down to endurance. And I feel that if I had the best gas tank, unless I could have landed something. And I was trying to set up some things, but they were slow, and my punches weren't. You watched the way those punches were coming back. It was the right thought. It was the right time to do things, but I was slow, almost lethargic, it looked like. But again, I'm talking as it's coming to me. You also can't discredit George, because he was so on point that even if I was in shape, it probably would have mirrored what you've seen for 25 minutes. All right, so that's my honest thoughts of it. And just like when people are cheering for me, and I hear stories of people going down the turnpike in Long Island and this bar and that place and people's houses, they're waking up neighbors. You know, when I lost, my wife had neighbors over. She's crying on the couch. People are upset, and all this. So this is what you got to do with this sport. This is how you take it. You never let a loss get to your heart or a win get to your head. Or you can say that the other way. You never get a win get to your head or a loss to your heart. I love that saying. I didn't come up with it, but I say it a lot. Because we just went over my best moment and one of my worst moments in my UFC career. Nothing keeps me up at night, After that second St. Pierre fight, and I've said this before, the only way to truly feel better after a loss, after you got bested, especially a stoppage, that only happened to me twice, is by kicking somebody else's ass. That is about as honest as I can get. The way to get over getting your ass kicked is to beat somebody's ass. So I remember when I was going to fight Frank Trigg, right? Well, once I won, I fought Matt Hughes after that, and that's a fight that I'd watch over here because there's tons of different things I think I could do on bottom. But I'd love to go over that fight again. But, when I fought Matt Hughes, I don't like that I basically lost that fight, the second fight to St. Pierre, on the floor. I'm a jiu-jitsu master, man. I'm a Renzo Gracie's first jiu-jitsu black belt. And a shot I took on the floor led to my demise in that. Yes, my endurance was the huge part of it, the biggest part. But part of the reason was I took that shot. So now I'm fighting one of the best ground and pound guys to ever do it in Matt Hughes. And even though he got the decision in that, I felt I should have got the nod, to be honest. But it was close. He was on top a lot. I walked out of there, some scratches from the gloves, but he was on top a lot during that fight, and I was more threatening than him. I touched his face more than he touched mine. Nothing of any consequence on the floor, and so I felt redemption as far as my jiu-jitsu goes. Then I was set to fight Frank Trigg, and there was memes putting Frank Trigg's head, because he's another great wrestler, Frank Trigg's head on George St. Pierre's body when I was on turtle position getting worked from George. And people were saying, tell me how this is going to be any different than his title defense with a wrestler like Frank Trigg. You've seen what Frank Trigg does to great jiu-jitsu guys like Cejudo, Renato Cejudo, how he beat up Dennis Holman, I think twice. He beats up a lot of good jiu-jitsu players. So I was getting my guard money for that fight, for my Frank Trigg fight. My guard was on fire. And I was going to feel even more like, hey, man, he gets me down there. I will redeem my loss to I will get redemption for my jiu-jitsu in my title defense. But it didn't have to, because I knocked him out. So the point is, this fight, my last fight, doesn't keep me up at night. Because I know, one, I feel it wasn't my best of me. But two, I feel I wasn't in the best shape. But three, George is one of the best ever. I have to throw that in. I'll always throw that in. But you have to this is going to be as honest as it gets. So I got to just let it all, I got to let my hair down. I got to let it all out. How I honestly feel. Because I know people are going to be like, oh, you're saying you lost because of this or that. Well, that's how I honestly feel. But George is the better fighter. He's the guy that's, it's hard for me to say that anybody's better. I'm psycho. I'm the type of guy that you lock Francis Ngannou in here with me, I feel like I'll get out. And you might say, Matt, you're crazy. You're 5'6". You're up to his dick. Yeah, I know. But that's me. And you can't change me. And it's part of the reason why I had the success I had is because I'm half a psychopath. So, point being, George is one of the best ever. My first fight, his game plan was off for my fighting ability. He thought that I'd be outmatched standing up, and I would not have that strategy. I had a different strategy. I surprised him. I got the W, lived my Rocky movie, and I still, a good song comes on, my nipples get hard. I love that fight. And then the second fight, exact opposite, wasn't my night, wasn't fun. But that's this sport. You got to take the good with the bad. And there's never a loss that kept me up at night, including this one. Well, now it doesn't. Afterwards, it sucked. Hey, you got to lick your wounds and you got to just, they say a bitter pill to swallow when you fucking lose. It is, man. It sucks. But look at me now. Look at me. I made it, mama. No, I'm having a blast. My post-fight career. And I had fun with this. It's almost like therapy. Because I tell you right now, I feel better after watching that fight. God, I look soft in it. But, you got to have the hunger there. And I feel for that second fight, George deserved it more. He wanted it more. And, that's the way it is. This was fun. Listen, we're going to be doing more of these. Also, not to mention, I brought in my VR to get that shit fixed. So we did a little test run. I feel they had too much of me. I like to play shirtless. You don't need to see that. You need to see that smaller. So we're going to make it where you see more of what I see in my VR. I'm having fun with my channel, Christian. He's not here. So many fun things to come. We're going to be doing more VR. Population 1, Contractor Showdown. I'll be going between those two. We'll see what else we could play. More movie reactions, more guests. Coming up, I got both Chris Liebman, Rashad Evans. I got to talk to Russell Peters. I was going back and forth with him, getting him back on. Guys, so much fun. We're getting out of here. All right, everybody. Stay humble yet dangerous. I was kind of blabbering all over today. I don't know if this... I hope you guys had fun with this. I'm just trying to have a good time. All right, gang. I'm out of here. Editors, we're stopping it now. Do I have to say that? I'm going to get better at my endings. All right, bye, everybody.